Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Kardec Radio, where we are here to nourish our souls. I am Nora Brazil, the host of this program, Pages of Hope. Welcome and thank you so much for your beautiful presence once again to Kardec Radio and to this program. Let's say a quick prayer just to start out this beautiful study, because today the poem that we're going to read is so inspirational and uplifting and an eye-opener on our actions. Are we being team players? All right, dear Mother, Father, God, and mentors of this program in Kardec Radio, thank you so much for this opportunity. Help us, guide us, enlighten us, and may we have the willingness to leave this evening, or if we're watching on demand, with the bigger picture of things that we can use in our daily life. That said, we ask permission to begin. All right, dear friends, so let me show you a picture that is going to really get us into the direction of today's study. All right, so the poem that we're going to read today is the Spiritist magazine, edition 1242. It is entitled Jesus, Kardec, and Us. And I was thinking about how interesting that the cover of this magazine has the word adolescence, because the picture that I said I wanted us to bring to our attention is actually this one. These are kids that are acting silly and goofy, disengaged. They're not paying attention. This is a big no-no in a classroom for the most part. They're just slacking off, right? Well, I would look at this picture and think, oh my gosh, who is the teacher there? What's happening, right? It's so easy for us to look at it this way. But how about, friends, if sometimes we may be those kiddos, those adolescents in real life, right? Now, today's poem is precisely talking about how this happens if we are not team players, if we're not putting our part, if we're not working on ourselves, right? Wanting to be students. So I have a picture here, so much better. Our awesome teacher, Xavier, right? A wonderful educator who's going to, if he were to walk in a room, dear friends, I'm sure everybody would be very, very in the vibration of that, right? A wonderful man. But to use the analogy, right? This poem, imagine that other classroom, and then the big teacher, Xavier, walks in and says, "Attention, class. I'm going to read a poem. If this poem is not a game changer for you, we need to pray more, right?" So, and that happens as a teacher myself. I've had times where I stop what I'm doing. We're doing an assignment or say, okay, guys, we're not focusing. Let's talk about something inspirational, right? So that's kind of how we can imagine ourselves as we read the poem, right? As we're listening to it, imagine ourselves, Xavier being the teacher and giving us a really good reminder. So let's read the poem.
Had Jesus thought too highly of himself so as not to tolerate contact with human weakness? Had he believed that everything should be left for God to do? Had he admitted that we were forever lost in our rebellion and delinquency? Had he restrained the success of his teachings to the support of the highly educated? Had he waited for monetary endowment and political support in order to carry out his work? Or had he backed down in the face of sacrifice, we certainly would not have the light of the gospel, which opens for us the path to spiritual emancipation. Had Allan Kardec overrated his merited position in the aristocracy of intelligence, placing deserved honors and titles above his own convictions? Had he been expecting the partaking of illustrious personalities in the messages which he bore? Had he waited for financial support to plunge into his task? Had he considered his difficulties as an educator with scarce time to devote to commitments outside of his profession? Or had he backed down in the face of the slander and personal attacks which marked his path? We would not have the Spiritist codification, which complements the gospel and teaches us the responsibility of living. Reflecting on Jesus and Kardec, we do not understand our thoughtlessness when we declare ourselves too virtuous, too busy, too educated, too shy, too incapable, or too disillusioned to attend to our own obligations in the Spiritist philosophy. If we consider this, the Master and the Apostle of human renovation passed among men, suffering lacerations and exemplifying the good and the love of the truth, while we, indebted consciences, run away from learning and serving for our own benefit, undoubtedly we will be, without noticing, under the hypnosis of an unseen obsession, showing balance on the outside and madness on the inside.
Wow, friends. Beautiful, beautiful poem. And as we're going to break the poem down, just, there might be, as we're saying it, might be a word or two that's different because we're reading it, we get so emotional, but that's the kind of vibration that it has. And it really is a timeline of measures taken during their lifetimes that secured the teachings in gospel spiritism. Although if we notice the ending of that poem, that's our part. That's the part where we have to work on ourselves, right? So let's continue here. If we were to break down Jesus, Kardec, and ourselves, right? And look at the differences, right? Of how this poem portrays the accomplishments, right? Jesus having contact with human weakness, not leaving everything for God to do, not believing we are lost forever in our rebellion and delinquency, sharing the teachings to everyone, not only the educated, not depending on monetary endowment, political support, not backing down in the face of sacrifice. Those actions were critical for the teachings to come to life, to stay alive, and they still remain today, right? And then the poem in the middle talks about Allan, right? Allan Kardec. He wasn't overrated by his merited position, didn't wait for financial support, and didn't back down in the face of slander and personal attacks, right? Again, Kardec is a great example of really being a team player and doing our part to keep going despite the obstacles. But towards the end, dear friends, right, it does mention a part of us where we come in. It says we don't understand our thoughtfulness yet, right? We declare ourselves too much of this, like too virtuous, too busy, too educated, too shy, too incapable, too disillusioned, right? It's like a two syndrome that we have built for ourselves, but we can change it, right? And now the poem, Emmanuel and Chico, right, share with us. The poem says, indebted consciences, right? Our consciences are still in debt. It means we cannot run away from learning or serving. We are. But think about the profound message this poem has on us as we are entering the regeneration stage of our evolution, right? We need to work on us together as a collective in order for us to keep moving forward to progress, right? So before we go to the next part of the poem, because now we understood a little bit let's watch this video because it's going to be very clear for us on how this poem takes the rhythm. You must be thinking, why is Nora showing a video of a cake and someone baking? Well, first of all, dear friends, I have been craving some baked goods lately. But also because at Kardec Radio, we are nourishing our souls, so it's a great example for us to use in an analogy of talking about chronological order, talking about some form of order. Looked at the cake, right? A lot of us want to be the part where the man was just devouring that cake. It looked so delicious, you know? But we don't realize that in order for us to get to that level, we have to go through a series, right? A series of evolution, events, experiences. You know, we can't go from one place to the next. And so when we look at the title of the poem, which is the second point, is that actually the poem has that order with Jesus, Kardec, and us, right? Jesus being, of course, the highest hierarchy, and then Kardec, and then us. But friends, we are there. That means we matter. And so, you know, we might think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be like Kardec or Jesus. Dear friends, no matter how small our deed, it's important. God accepts all our deeds. The issue here is we keep going. We keep moving. We want to step away from that debt that, you know, the poem states, right? From that, away from that thoughtfulness. We want to be in a different vibration. We want to be part of this team, right? And I also think that, you know, us coming at the last place of this title, it keeps us humble and grounded, right? Sometimes we think we're in control, right? But we are reminded not so much. Not so much. Sometimes we can be like those adolescents in the classroom, right? If we were to use the analogy in the classroom in life, and that's okay because we know that with Jesus' love and God and the mentors, Kardec and Chico and everyone, we are not alone. We're not alone, dear friends. You know, and I have to say we are equipped with like a spiritual DNA, right? You think about this. So it's really the willingness for us to go inside ourselves and say, okay, I can do this. Come on, I got this. I want to be part of this team. I want to collaborate. I want to move on. I want to, you know, aspire, right? To move up, to keep moving, to keep going. And especially during these times, if anything, a lot of us already have that in our spiritual DNA. Wouldn't it be the process of regeneration, right? To use an analogy, dear friends. So that is something that is super amazing. I thought it was interesting just to bring up, right? Keep ourselves in check. So now we're gonna think about a story in one of Andre Louis' book, The Messengers. He has chapters 7 through 10. He actually has some case studies, and these are going to be six cases, but they're very short, and each of them actually, well, they've already disincarnated, right? They struggled a little bit with this concept of, fulfilling all their duties, right, for different reasons, which you will see, dear friend, through there. After the video where it presents the cases, we're going to come back and just make a few points on this and how we can use this for today. Let us watch the video.
Mariana, I didn't perform my duty as a medium because of my overpowering annoyance with respect to my family's indifference towards spiritual work. Ernestina, simply put, fear, my friend. I was afraid of everything and everyone. It was my greatest fault. Benita, the call to service chimed at the right time and guided my thought processes to greater enlightenment. But I distrusted other people, discarnates, and even myself. Joelle, it's hard to believe, but instead of helping others with such an important gift, I lost myself. Otavio, but alas, I forgot about every single one of my commitments. And Arcelino, by surrounding myself with criminals for monetary gain, the inferior mental currents of my tribal clients had incarcerated me in a dark psychic dungeon. However, despite the difficulties, the mentors were there with so much love and compassion, helping them confront themselves, but most importantly, to not connect to those lower vibrations, because we always get more than a chance to complete our duties. The following are the responses from the mentors. Vicente catches Joel as he faints from impressions of the past, and with his right hand over his forehead says, Joel, Joel, don't succumb to images from the past. Come back to God's present. For Otavio, Andre Luis shares, Dona Isaura shows affection towards him, and recognizing her affection for him, I meditated on the divine goodness whose sublime hymn is echoed in motherly love, even in the regions beyond the grave. Anselino, Vicente says, don't beat yourself up like that. You didn't commit any murders, nor did you nourish any deliberate intentions to spread evil. The way I see it, you too deceived yourself like so many of us. And last but not least, Mariana, Ernestina, and Benita listened to each other as friends, as a support group, and offered feedback, while Vicente, overseeing the conversation, continued sending them love and vibrations.
All right, dear friends. So, hope you enjoyed that version. It's always good to have a visual, right? So we can focus on the cases, right? But just to a quick recap, as we listen to the video, we realize that a lot of them have the same thing in common, which was fear. They forget. They just were too materialistic. Family didn't support them, so they couldn't do it on their own, right? They lose themselves in the process. And we're human, dear friends. We're in the process of evolving. So a lot of us have been here. Some of us have overcome some of these issues. Some of us are here to work on those issues. But always the message of hope is the after part, right? The part where the mentors, the God, the Jesus, Mother Mary, right? They come in and they rescue. They didn't put anybody down. Oh my gosh, how dare you have done that? Your life is over. Wait till you get back to your next reincarnation, right? And all these things. But instead, right, they prayed. They did the passes. They tried to get them away from those thoughts, the mental vibration of that. So what an eye-opener for us too. If we find ourselves at this point where we're discouraged, we think we're not good enough. Oh no, every single little dear friends, is important. And let us vibrate into this kind of energy, because sometimes those influences around us, they might, pick up a thought of doubt or fear, and they just escalate it, and we can find ourselves stuck for a while. So these right here, these are remedies for us, right? It was all love. It was hugging, supporting, right? Talking, praying, saying, mental affirmations, or doing something positive so that we don't connect to memories. But it was always a message of moving forward. Isn't that wonderful? So, and there it is, just like the title. It's all about moving forward in that timeline. I'm going to share something from, came across this book, Letters from a Spirit. It's a non-spiritist book, but it's so beautiful that I want to share something so profound that we can take with today, right? And it says here, both your intentions and actions impact the entire universe in the same way a drop of liquid affects the whole ocean. There is no way a drop, each affecting the quality of existence for the others, right? It quickly becomes one with all the other drops, each affecting the quality of existence for the others. Search your heart to determine the quality of your participation. The choice to avoid involvement is impossible, because you are already part of all that is. Your choice is between contributing to the difficulties or contributing to the improvements. And there it is. We're co-creating, and this is that poem that's reminding us we're co-creating. So we can't stop. We saw that with the stories, the cases, and the messengers. Life goes on, life continues, and they're all connected, and it doesn't stop. So we have a choice. So what is our choice today, dear friends, right? We look here, we're in this beautiful, beautiful classroom, and let's imagine ourselves leaving today's study and every day, right, in this serene, peaceful demeanor as a student, inspired to keep on going, to keep pushing, to keep moving forward, because, right, God is counting on us. God is counting on us, dear friends. So this is today's lesson, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. God bless you, and ask the Spirit to end with that. Don't forget to tune into other radios, other programs here at Kardec Radio. We're here to nourish our souls, dear friends, and perhaps I might venture to bake a cake or something after that video. All right, until next time. God bless.